All right, here we go. Am I live? What are my settings here? Do I have good settings or bad settings? I'm doing low latency, which means I should actually be able to see everybody. I'm gonna grab my headphones here so I can hear, make sure I'm actually speaking. Oh, look at that. I'm actually speaking. Even better. All right. If you are here, if you're in the live stream and you can actually see this and you can hear it, hit me up in the comments. Everything on my screen, like usual, looks like it's just a spinning wheel of death, even though usually when I do this, people tell me they can definitely see me and hear me. So hit me up in the comments if you can. That way I know we're really doing something here. YouTube, what is YouTube telling me? Capture top moments. New, create a highlight video. I don't know what that means. It says I have an excellent connection, but all of everything, stream rate, I don't know what this is saying. I can't see anybody if they're in here, which is really frustrating. Obviously, this never seems to work as well as I think it's going to. Obviously, if you're in here and I'm currently talking to myself, that's awkward and I apologize, but it says I've just got a spinning wheel of death here, so let's it says live. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm definitely live because it's pretty funny. No, you're not. No, I'm not. What? Hey, Ian. Great. I'm thrilled that somebody else is in here. All right. Good deal. That was how's things in your corner of the universe? I'm going to wait a few minutes before I get into the topic of the day. Anybody who's in here now or jumps in early, you can put questions for later for the Q&A down below. But yeah, Ian, what's going on in your corner of the universe? And can you hear me okay? Dark and cold. Yeah, no kidding. Where exactly are you again? I know you're in the UK, right? But where in the UK? You know, I usually have a glass of water or tea or a cup of tea or something sitting next to me. I just realized I don't. I reached for a cup of tea, and this is what was sitting where I expected to find that. So, oh goodness. Oh, good. I'm glad it sounds good. How's your channel going, though, Ian? Your audio and video reviews and tips. Who's nervous about COPA, whatever we're calling it? I feel like everybody's freaking out about this. I don't know. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with the child protection laws and everything. Obviously, I did what I'm sure most of you did, which is instantly go click the button. None of my content is for children. My buddy Adam Krutinger, though, who you've seen pop in and out of this channel and on the podcast, he's a puppeteer. And he runs Krutinger Puppets and the Puppeteers podcast. And his channel's not for kids. It's for professional puppeteers and amateur puppeteers looking to learn how to build puppets and all that stuff. But all of his videos feature, puppets and colorful characters and creatures, even though they're for professionals that build puppets. So he's getting really nervous. And I don't blame him. I think that's oh man, it's gonna be interesting when all this kicks in and we see what happens. Starting to go. Kevin Filmmaker has been helping, and oh good, you're starting to get some views. Yeah, I'll have to go check out your channel. Ian, what sort of stuff are you actually doing on there right now? I see, obviously audio and video reviews. I'm looking forward to doing more of the getting back to doing my audio tutorials, especially on the new channel, on the Audio for Content Creators channel, because I've been desperate to really build that channel, and I've been finishing some projects and collaborations, and wrapping up the major season for me for work stuff. Beginner audio for video. Speaking the same language, aren't we? But how's this sound, by the way? That I've owned this microphone for years. I picked this up used, man. I got super lucky. I picked this thing up like 6 years ago. This is a large diaphragm condenser. This is a Groove Tubes GT50. Groove Tubes went out of business. They were bought out by, I think, Guitar Center turned them. I think they turned Groove Tubes into Sterling Audio, if I'm remembering that correctly. And kind of repurposed their technology into some more budget level stuff. But Groove Tubes used to make these incredible microphones, and I picked up this large diaphragm condenser used from a woman who was a voiceover artist that worked out of her home, and then suddenly her husband got a new job, and they had to relocate on no notice to they had to relocate to California on like no notice. And so like on 3 days notice, she was selling everything she didn't need to move with. And I just got lucky and picked this thing up for $100 6 or 7 years ago. And now if you look these up, you're going to find these for $400 or $500 used, because there's not that many of them. And oh man, I've used this thing for all of my vocal, my vocal recordings, for music on my acoustic guitar, for the main body. But I've never been able to use this for like the podcast or voiceover or narration or anything until I finally treated this room. And because I finally treated this room, I can actually use hypersensitive, really, really sensitive, condenser microphones like this. And so I'm using this for the narration and the intros and outros to my podcast now, and for my main desk mic, which is just, oh gosh, it sounds so full and warm. It's got a crispy top end. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Maybe I picked a weird time to do a live stream. Maybe it's because it's the day before Thanksgiving. But I think I'm just going to chat for a few minutes about gratitude. There's 13,500 people that subscribe to this channel, and I think it's just the two of us right now on this live stream. Rode NT1, not great in my house, needs treatment because it picks up all the reverb. Ian, I assume you have, but have you been paying attention to the acoustic treatment build-outs videos that I've been doing? Those videos are for exactly the type of person like you. I've got one more video coming as part of the actual like official sponsored collaboration with GIK Acoustics. The next video is a series of before and after samples, and I did everything: voiceover, narration, vlogging, on-camera mic, boomed mic, omnidirectional lav mics, two-person podcast, one-person podcast, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, heavy overdrive guitar. It's just tons of it. So I'm going to show you all the before and afters, and it makes a tremendous difference. I need a shed. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The beauty, and I know I sound like I'm just like a show for GIK right now, but like I'm working. I did a sponsorship, a collaboration with them because I love their products, not the other way around, right? So you see back here. Oh man, how do I point? Right there. You see back here these impression panels. You can go to GIK and there's a million different designs, every different color option. And so when it comes to like the wife or the spouse or the significant other or the roommates, whoever you have to kind of answer to, or they have to agree before you put stuff up on the walls in a room, the beauty is that GIK doesn't just make this incredible acoustic material. All of it is customizable so you can fit your aesthetic. So like I'm thinking about now doing my living room, doing some acoustic treatment in my living room, and then my wife could pick out the colors if she wanted to and the designs, and then we'd get a better sound for our home theater, our 5.1 setup, or putting some of these panels up in the kitchen, which has like lots of, I'm sorry, not the kitchen, the dining room, which has like some fairly bare walls, hardwood floors, a glass table, super, super echoey, so much reverb in there. And when you have 4, 5, 6 people sitting around eating and talking, it gets really loud with all the echo. And so the beauty is that this stuff is relatively affordable. Like I know, like, I remember being broke and I remember being on a really tight budget, but within the context of without acoustic treatment, within the context of purchasing acoustic treatment, this stuff from GIK is pretty affordable given the fact that before you even put down your credit card, you get access to their 3D visualization room planner, so you can design the room and then test out what it would look like to have their stuff. You can send that room plan to GIK for free. They will get back to you. A room planner or an acoustical engineer will get back to you and give you recommendations on different budgets for your purpose. It's pretty amazing before you ever decide to buy anything from them. It sounds incredibly good. No reverb at all. Very studio-like. Does it sound dead to your ears is what Ian's asking. Does it sound dead to your ears? Yes. Yes, it sounds dead to your ears, but in a good way. Like, one of the things John, and on the new Audio for Content Creators channel, I uploaded the full hour and 10 minute, hour 20 minute conversation with John, and he talks about this. He says that the biggest misconception in audio is that a room can be too dead. That there's a lot of people that they treat the room and then they want to try to put diffusion and scatter up just to make it less dead. And he's like, no, dead is good. The only problem with dead is that it's fatiguing after a long period of time. Now, if you treated, like, this room is not treated enough to be fatiguing. I can sit in here and edit for 6-8 hours on end, and I do almost every day, between the vlog and the podcast and the 2 channels and everything else. Plus, this is where my office is, all my work. I don't feel fatigued in this room at all. I've been in professional radio studios. Recently, I got a tour of the ESPN radio studios. And my buddy Jay Reynolds, who was on the podcast recently, he took me in for a behind-the-scenes tour of his studio. He's an ESPN Sports Center anchor for 24 years. Or 27 years or whatever, 24 years maybe. It's amazing. He took me in the studio. Man, when you close that door, it's so dead. It's like the opposite of sound. It's like the inverse of sound. And that room would get fatiguing over time. But if you treat a dining room, will the sound change drastically? Conversation killer. No. No, it wouldn't be a conversation killer. But yeah, it would change drastically insofar as I wouldn't treat a dining room the way that I treated my studio. You wouldn't want it to be dead. The goal is just to control the decay. You want, and this is what John from GIK Acoustics taught me, right? You want everything from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz to decay at the same rate. That's when you have a balanced room. And then ceiling. There's one right above me. Yeah. Check out. Go back to the. If you go back, Ian, to the build out video. Well, actually, both of the videos I produced for GIK recently, they both show all the panels. So there's 11 of them. There's two giant bass traps here. Both of these in the behind me are bass traps with scatter plates, diffusion on them to scatter the high frequencies. I have 2 broadband absorbers on free stands that are to my left and right now. I move those all around the room depending on what I'm doing. Right behind the monitors, right behind the speakers, are 2 bass traps with scatter plates again. Absorb all the bass frequencies that build up right behind the speakers, but then scatter the high frequencies. The reason there's scatter right behind the monitors is so that the room doesn't feel too dead, so it doesn't totally fatigue you. So you do get a little bit of the high-end scatter coming back. And then there's a broadband absorber directly overhead. It's basically the front of my desk. The edge is the middle point. So if you took a pool shot from the tweeter off the ceiling to your ears, that's where you want the one above your head. Does your magic earn too much money? I don't know what that means. Most I can manage is egg boxes. So here's the thing. I make 95% of my living as a keynote speaker. 4 or 5 years ago, I moved out of full-time magic. As a magician, I did very well. I started off, I started, it must be expensive. Yeah, so let me do that question first. It must have been expensive. The treatment I did in this room is all in with shipping, About $1,000, maybe $1,100. So yes, it's a lot of money, but it's like a semi-permanent solution. And it's a solution that actually works. And here's what I'll say about the egg crates, the egg box things. The egg box things don't do anything. Here's the problem. They're too thin. Yeah, so exactly. It's not as bad as you thought, right? So, and this is a pretty big room. This is a 13 by 15, almost 15-foot room. Like, this is a big room. This is a spare bedroom in our house. And I have a lot more space than, most. I never used to, in any place I lived until we bought this house, had a room, a spare bedroom that could turn into a home studio and office, right? It's an office here and it's a studio back there. I never used to have a room this big, and most people don't. So if you're in a smaller room, you don't need as much treatment as I put up. And go watch the second video. Go watch the second video that I did for GIK, because in that video, actually, let me see if I can pull this. Yeah, I'm very lucky in this house. My wife and I have been very, very happy. Let me go. Let's see if I go to videos and here. Let's see, how fancy can I get? Oh, look at this. All right, so this one right here, the why better mics sound worse and what to do instead. Go check out that video. John really, really carefully explains in there on $0, on zero budget, what you should do first, tips for where to put your monitors, where to put your desk, how far away from the wall, what to look for that you already own. So basically, he gives you tons of ideas on $0, on no budget, just taking advantage of the space that you're in and the properties, the standard acoustic properties. And I thought I knew this stuff, and he told me stuff that totally blew my mind. So, for instance, one of the things that really blew my mind was I always avoided windows, right? You don't want to put your speakers right in front of windows. Like, everybody knows that, right? No, John says that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. Putting your speakers right in front of windows is one of the best possible places you could put them, because windows are highly reflective. And so if you put your speakers in front of them, what you've done is you've put the window behind the tweeters. So there's no possible chance for the high frequency content coming out of your speakers to bounce off the glass, the windows, and come back into your listening or into your microphones. And windows, even modern windows, don't tend to be perfectly sealed. And if they're even a little, if there's any room whatsoever in the windows, you get kind of free bass traps, he said, because the bass buildup behind your speakers will leak out through the window, and any bass that gets out is bass you don't have to deal with. You don't have to trap. You don't have to treat. So watch that video, Why Better Mics Sound Worse and What to Do Instead. John will give you a bunch of great tips there. And then he also gives tips for if you only have, let's say you can spend like $300, which for, I was at many places in my life where that was phenomenally expensive. Like that would have been saving for a long time. If you got $300, he tells you, if you're going to do some real treatment, here's what to do. Here's what to do instead. Yeah, in studios, musicians tend to face a big window, which is the same. Exactly. It's just so funny how you get those things wrong in your head. But since we're on the topic of, and I was kind of saying I'm really grateful for like this house that Lindsay and I are in now and all that, let me move to the actual topic I wanted to chat about for a minute. I must have just picked a really weird time, because we've had dozens of people on these live streams when I've done them in the past. So maybe it's a weird day, weird time, day before Thanksgiving. Everybody's with family in America. Who knows? But I know people watch the replays, so let's chat just for a minute about gratitude. There are two ways to look at gratitude. There's the internal and there's the external. So internal, gratitude is being personally grateful for what you have. That's the ability to, for yourself, reframe negative events and appreciate not only what you have, but your experiences. So even if you've had a negative experience, gratitude is a way to, when you practice it, to take a negative experience and slightly reframe it into a positive. So there's been many studies where about the science of gratitude and the psychology of gratitude. And so in one study that I found particularly interesting, participants in one group were asked to write down their positive experiences from the week, every week. At the end of a week, a different group was asked to write down complaints or annoyances, grievances they had from that week, and a third group was asked just to write about their week, not being told positive or negative what they should be writing about. And at the end of 10 weeks, the group that was told to write about the experiences and the events that happened that week that they were grateful for, the positive ones, they had a measurably more positive outlook, they exercised more, and they saw the doctor less at the end of 10 weeks. Now, obviously, this is not a cause and effect relationship. This is a correlation, but so many studies have shown similar results that there's clearly a correlation between the practice of gratitude and overall well-being. So that's internal, but then there's the external experience of gratitude. And the external is, of course, how you treat others, how to create a happier home and more effective workplace. For example, Laszlo Bock is the former head of human resources at Google. Google, of course, for a long time and continues to be one of the best places in the world to work for. It ranks in the top 10 pretty much every year, and that's largely due to this guy, Laszlo Bock. And he spent years studying why employees leave their company, employee retention, because Google for a long time had the same employee retention problem as basically every other company, and which is crazy, right? Because when you think about it, if you're not Google and you're having an employee retention problem, you got to be thinking, well, if only we had the kind of stuff Google has, if only we had their perks, if only we had their competitive work culture, competitive in the positive sense here, if only we had the kind of benefits that they can offer, if only we had unlimited free M&Ms in the break rooms like Google, then our people wouldn't be leaving. But if you are Google, you're already the best at all of those things. So what do you do when you have an employee retention problem? So Laszlo Bock was tasked with trying to figure out this problem and solve it for Google. And what he discovered after studying Google internally is that the number one reason people leave their organization, they quit, is because they don't feel like their hard work is being acknowledged. They don't feel like their hard work is being acknowledged. That tops every other reason for leaving a company. It tops pay, it tops perks, it tops benefits. And what's amazing about that is that, and I'm sure you've experienced this or you know someone who has, we will take slightly less pay, not dramatically less, but slightly less. We'll take slightly less pay. We'll take a place with benefits that aren't quite as good, healthcare that's not quite as good, a higher deductible, less perks, less free stuff in the break rooms, if it's an environment, a working culture where we feel valued for our contributions, where we feel like our hard work is being acknowledged. And so the simplest thing you can do to improve your workplace if you're unhappy at work is to say thank you. I know this sounds really dumb and kind of obvious, but say thank you when your colleagues or coworkers do something that was helpful, no matter how small it is. In fact, especially if it's small. It's the little things throughout the day that add up. Like someone gets in trouble for the one thing that goes wrong and never gets thanked for the 1,000 things that went right in the last month leading up to it, right? So on a regular basis, say thank you, especially for the little things, to your colleagues, to your employees if you're a manager or a boss or in the C-suite. And especially if you're an employee, remember to thank your boss. They're people too, and they have responsibilities to the people above them, just like you have responsibilities to your boss. And when you reach out to your boss and you say, hey, thanks for pushing us, to do our best work this week, or thanks for taking care of that, whatever. Or, hey, you did a great job running that meeting. I really feel like I understood our goal this week. Or like, morale's up. This is great. Thanks for what you do. It's amazing when you thank your boss, when you go out of your way to be grateful to them instead of just constantly complaining about your boss. When your boss, who is also a human being and needs gratitude and needs to feel valued and feel acknowledged for their work, when they feel that from their employees, they will become an even better leader. And this is a virtuous cycle that just goes upwards in a positive trajectory. So, 3 ways to implement gratitude on a daily basis. First, schedule it, right? Our lives are really complicated. They're very busy. So, schedule it. What you want to do here is you want to put a notification into your phone or your calendar, a reminder every night before you go to sleep to just take 5 minutes and either internally in your head or even out loud to yourself to express a few things that you are grateful for that day. This is a great way before you go to sleep to reframe the day's experiences as positive, no matter what happened. So, first, schedule it. Second, make it public. Shout out your friends, tag them on social media, at your colleagues or your boss if you're gonna, or your employees if you're gonna express gratitude to them. Do it in the company meeting, the weekly meeting. When we express our gratitude in a public way, and the person on the receiving end, when they feel so positive, because I say, hey, if I tag like for instance, a friend of mine owns a bakery here in town. I go to her bakery, I have a coffee and I have a pastry, and it's awesome. I take a photo, I go on Facebook, I post the photo, I tag my friend, I go, man, what a great little meal here, a great cup of coffee. Thanks to everyone at so and so. And to so-and-so for blah, 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 blah. That person who owns that bakery, my friend, oh man, and they go into the comments, thanks so much for supporting us. We really appreciate the kind words. And then other people see that and they go, that's what I want to, like, I want to get in on that. And again, it's a virtuous cycle. When you put gratitude into the world, when you put kindness into the world, other people jump on the same thing, and they want to feel that reciprocal positive energy, and it just goes back and forth. So kindness begets kindness, gratitude begets gratitude. Okay, first, schedule it. Second, make it public. Third, this is a tricky one. Make an effort to connect with people you disagree with. And I'm saying this especially because in America, we've got Thanksgiving tomorrow. It's the holidays. Even if you're not in the States right now, we're moving into holiday season in December. This is a time when family gets together and we start to have real trouble with the extended relatives or your crazy aunt. And what happens is it's really easy to just get annoyed with them, especially in how divisive the culture has become when it comes to politics, in particular. We've got those issues here in the States, obviously. You're definitely having issues over there in the UK. I've been all over the world recently. I was in Australia, as most of you know, recently. They've got the same issues going on over there. We are in a very divisive time. The thing is, connection is not about agreement. Connection is about understanding. So let's take a somewhat controversial topic. Actually, you know what? Just for the risk of not having this video flagged for anything, I'm not going to talk about that controversial topic right now. But if you want an example, let me show you where you can get an example. Because those of you here on YouTube may not realize that I am a very active blogger. I have a weekly blog every single week on every Wednesday at humanconnection.blog. Right here, you can go to that, humanconnection.blog. You can pop your email address in right here and get free access to my weekly blog. You also get a bunch of bonuses, resources, all free, always free, always free, always. I'm not selling anything over there. And then every week you'll get an email from me on Wednesdays with stories, science, or research into human connection, building relationships, connecting with anyone, and creating a sustainable career. So right here, you'll see this week's blog is called Thank You House, a Lesson in Gratitude. If you click on that, you will get to read about some interesting ways that you might be able to connect with people that you typically disagree with right in this section right here. So definitely go check that out if you want to. Okay, that's my spiel on gratitude. And yes, Ian, I've seen all of your comments. I've seen all the comments going through. I just wanted to get through what I had to say for the people watching in the replay later. Now I'm back to the comments. Ian, it sounds like you had I'm scrolling back up. You had a really, really tough experience. 28, crashed a motorbike, lost a finger. Oh, man. Ooh, that's like my biggest fear in life as a magician and a musician by trade, man. Turned out to be a blessing, though. There you go. There's so many ways to look at. But you know what, though? The fact that you say it turned out to be a blessing, see, that's an outlook thing, and not everybody can do that. There are people that would go through that experience and then totally and completely end up in a negative cycle that went for the rest of their life. I love this. One door closes, another door opens. Loads more doors opened. Pop music was easier for me to cope with. Exactly. Took 3 years, but yeah, we take the simple things for granted too. And not only losing your finger and having this recovery also led to appreciating the little things in life more. Beautiful. Dr. Wells, you're a handsome dude. Your set looks great, and you're nothing but a beacon of positivity. Man, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that, all of those things very much. I'll especially take handsome. At the very least, I'm interesting looking. So, let's see, what else we got here? Is that an Ibanez mahogany top open pore acoustic? No. This one back here. Oh, you want to see the guitar? Hang on. Let's see. This is a Taylor Mini GS. Man, I cannot talk highly enough about this guitar. This is a mini Taylor GS. Let's see, let me see if I just lower this thing. Can I get, you guys hear that okay? Tune? I feel like I'm in tune. Yeah, this is beautiful. It's a mini Taylor GS. Man, I love this thing. Yeah, let's appreciate the beauty in this for a second. Let's see if I can do this without clipping, because I got my mic set up for speaking. Let me move this away. You know, that wasn't bad for absolutely no warm-up. That was all right. Yeah, I've got I have lots and lots of guitars in here. I got a whole bunch of them back here. And yeah, Ian, that's what I was talking about with this microphone earlier, man. This mic is so nice. So nice. Oh man, Dr. Wells, you use sign language and losing a finger would suck. Yeah, no kidding. I had a signer at I had 2 signers that tag teamed in and out with a show that I did recently, a magic show, which I don't do that often anymore. I had this big, like, massive amphitheater kind of a show, and they had a live feed, a video feed up on the big screens, and it was a couple months ago. And they had 2 signers that were going to tag in and out because I was doing like an hour, 15-minute show. And as anybody who listens to me do a live stream knows, I talk very quickly, naturally. When I talk as a speaker or on video for my recorded videos, I deliberately slow down to about half of this speed. So when I'm doing like my vlogs and my audio tutorials, I have to force myself to talk about this. But my normal speed is kind of like this. And man, I gotta tell you, the signers, I went up to the two signers after the show, and I shook their hands and I said, you guys must have been just exhausted. And they both laughed. They said, it was a challenge, they said, but it was a lot of fun. They said you talk at lightning speed, but they said we had so much fun. It was pretty funny. I can do fractions on my hand. There's a reframe, Ian. I lost a finger, so I can't sign properly, but I can do fractions on my hand. Yeah. I can show your kids show the kids 2.5. This is what 2.5 looks like. Gosh, that's so funny. Dr. Wells, when do you get most nervous the day you give a public talk? When you're on stage, is it like automatic? Yeah, that's interesting. I don't get nervous anymore. Still, I get anxious, but not nervous. And I think I've talked about this before on the channel, but the difference between nerves and kind of butterflies is really important if you're in live entertainment. If you're giving a boardroom presentation, really, this could apply to work or to entertainers, speakers, anybody doing something in front of a live group. Whether you have just kind of 4 or 5 people you're presenting your idea to in the weekly meeting at work, or speaking in front of hundreds or thousands of people at a time, I don't get nervous anymore. And the reason I don't get nervous is just experience, right? I've done this thousands of times. When I go on stage, not only have I done it thousands of times, but I know my material cold. The best antidote to nerves, especially in something like public speaking, is to just know your material cold. When you know your content and you know depth, you haven't just memorized a speech. You're not just pretending to be an expert. Like, this is when people get nervous. When they know in their mind that they don't really know what they're talking about, they only know the superficial. Like, they wouldn't know how to handle a question or an objection or a Q&A, right? When you know your speech cold, word for word, and you also know your content, there's nothing to be nervous about. But anxious, you should be anxious because you're showing up in front of a live audience. If you're not anxious, you're coasting. Like, I get anxious before I go on stage because there's a bunch of people in front of the room, in front of me, that are looking to me for the next hour to give, either as a magician to entertain them, as a speaker to transmit knowledge. I've got the clients who invested a lot of money and time and energy in me, who have also staked their responsibility to their bosses and to the conference organizers or whoever to bring me in. So my anxiousness, the butterflies, are just because I want to do a good job. And if you don't have the butterflies, you are probably not showing up for the audience. Because then if you're not nervous and you're not anxious, then now you're just doing you're just talking then. You're just talking then. So you really want to make sure that you're showing up and staying present and staying engaged. So upright throws. Out of curiosity, what is the blue light behind you? It looks great. Okay. Yes. Thank you for asking about that. It does look great. I've been putting off doing a review of these lights. I hate them, which is why I haven't done a review. I don't like to bash a product. I picked up, but both of these actually are smart lights. All the ones behind me are smart lights. There's 3 of them in this lamp. There's you can't really see it from here, but there's 3 different ones here. And then this one's a smart bulb as well. In the I've got this reversed. There we go. In the lamp behind me. They're kind of a cheap Amazon third-party smart bulb. I just wanted to test the waters before I invested in the expensive high-end smart bulbs. They're fine. The colors are decent. They're really cheap. It's like $40 for 4 of them or something. They don't need a hub. It's great. There's a lot of good stuff about them. but they are a very low quality LED light, and so they flicker on camera. You don't see it in the webcam because the webcam's doing some other thing. When you're using a real camera, when I shoot my YouTube videos, look at all the videos I've been producing for the last 2 months, ever since I started using those lights in the background. Look at the background, and you see a banding, you see a flicker that you don't get in the Philips Hues, the LifeX, the high-end ones, and that's, as far as I can tell, that's pretty much what you're paying for in those high-end ones. It's just the quality of the LED light. So I'm actually looking into the LifeX, and I think I'm going to wait until I pick some of those up to do a comparison between these cheap Amazon ones and the LifeX. Is that something that would be interesting to you? Let me know in the comments or the chat. Where am I at with time? Oh, I'm good. I have a podcast interview I have to give. I'm a guest on a podcast in a little over an hour, so I need to get off here soon and get my thoughts ready and take a break from talking before I do an hour interview. Folks will tolerate bad video, but never bad sound. Yeah. Let's see. Tips about the Tascam DRO5. So good. Great. Oh, is it working out for you? Have you been using them? Using it, the DRO5. I love that thing, man. It's such a higher quality than you would expect out of an $80, a sub $100 audio recorder. That thing blows me away, both for its preamp when you plug a mic into it, with a TRS cable, and for the mics built into it. Like, the mics built in are like really good. That thing is a heck of an investment. Great. Yeah, for 2 years, that's great. People keep asking me about the new DRO5X. The only reason I haven't reviewed it is because I don't need it. Like, I have the DRO5 and I've been using it for years and it's fantastic, and I don't need to upgrade. And the only difference, as far as I can tell, with the X is you can use it as an audio interface. But maybe I'll pick one up or borrow one from Best Buy and then return it and do a review or something like that. Upright throws. So hopefully that was helpful about these. If you want, here I can give you the. Let me see if I can find, while we're here, if I can find a link to the lights behind me. If you don't care that much about video production, the smart lights that I'm using back here, they're fantastic. They have lots of great colors. You can change them. Let's see. Can I actually change them right in front of you while we're sitting here? Let's see. What do you want? Let's go to. He's gonna change. Oh, look at that. Now we got purple behind me. Hey. Check that out. Let's go to something like cool white. Okay, there's some cool white. Let's go to red. All right, we got the red. Let's get some green in there. Ooh, that's an ugly green. Let's get a brighter. Oof, that's a disaster. That's no good. What is that? Let's go back to purple. Yeah, there's lots of good. There's lots of good stuff. I love the lights for the colors, but like I said, they flicker on video. Go watch the last bunch of videos I've produced for the last couple of months. If you don't care about video, these are fantastic, because here you go. I'm going to throw a link into the chat right now. You can go check those out. It's $40 for a 4-pack with no hub. Here's the other issue with those, the ones that I've got behind me. This is as bright as they go. They're not bright enough to be like the primary lights in a room. They're nowhere. They're like 600 lumens. The bulbs I normally use are like 1,500 lumens. So like they're nowhere near bright enough. But definitely check them out if you don't care about the flickering on camera. And I've tried every different. Doesn't changing shutter speed alter the flickering? Right, Ian, exactly. So that's what it should do. I have played with every shutter speed. I cannot find a shutter speed that doesn't have the flicker. I go down to like, 1/3, because in the States we have the 60 hertz. We have 60 hertz for our electricity here. 1/60 should take care of the flicker. It doesn't. 1/40 doesn't. 1/50 doesn't. I go to 125. It's even worse. I cannot get rid of the flicker. I have done tests and tests and tests, and it's driving me crazy. So if you don't care about the video production, these things are awesome. I love it. This setup right here, the blue on one side and the orange on the other. This is kind of my editing setup. I got a little light that sits behind my computer monitor, so that my computer's backlit and I don't get the strain of just looking at a monitor in the dark. And I leave these behind me and I sit in the dark with my ambient lighting and I just edit for hours and hours and hours. It's great. So yeah. There you go. Tech recommendations. Ooh, what is this? Very dynamic headphones. Let me look at these. Headphones. Are these open back? Semi-open back? I use the Sony MDR 7506s, kind of industry standard stuff here. But yeah, I've been looking into getting some half open headphones because I've never bothered. I have really, really excellent studio monitors, and so I do most of my editing without headphones. I just throw these on to do highly detailed work. I love the 7506s. They're classic, they're standard, but they hype the low and the high end, and so they're not accurate. They're great for tracking, not great for mixing, for what it's worth. So let's see. Oh, before I go, I need to get your opinion on, I need everybody here. There's not that many of us, but we're going to do it anyway. I need your opinion on the podcast. So you probably don't even listen to it. That's fine. The podcast is called One New Person. It's called One New Person because it is, let's see, somewhere near my desk here. Because my book, as most of you know, is called 3 New People. I launched the podcast right with the book, basically. So One New Person made sense as a companion to my book. But the book's been out for over a year. It's done fantastic. It's continuing to do well. That's great. But the podcast does not need to be the podcast does not need to be completely tied to the book like it was anymore. And I'm starting to realize after a year of running the podcast that even though I'm really happy with the conversations we're having, the production quality, I think this podcast is like, and I'm my own worst critic. I'm a very harsh judge of myself, and I am very happy with what I'm putting out on the podcast. But I don't think the title of the podcast, One New Person, is helping me find the right audience. It's too ambiguous, it's too vague, and the audience that I really am making this podcast for are kind of young professionals, 22 to 35-ish, and folks who work with young professionals. So if you're a mid-level manager or an educator working with young professionals, my podcast is designed for young professionals to learn how to connect with anyone, strengthen their relationships, and build a sustainable career through leveraging the day-to-day interactions, the lucky moments, the chance encounters, that relationships are actually how we build a sustainable career, especially in an increasingly divisive and unpredictable economy. So I'm going to throw up some text on the screen. Look how fancy I am for figuring out how to do this. I've got 3 title options that I'm considering changing the title of the show. Not the tone, really, just the title and kind of how I do the intros and outros, but having the same sorts of conversations. Godzilla's bumper sticker. But Godzilla's bumper stumper? What? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. So here are a couple of different titles we are considering because the core of the show is about building a sustainable career through leveraging chance encounters, lucky moments, and how to be present and engaged and build relationships, build your career through relationships. And that is your path forward in an unpredictable economy. Where most of the students getting degrees right now, those degrees, that field won't even exist 5 years from now. So how do you build a career with all that unpredictability? Well, that's Okay, so yeah, right now I want everybody to vote if you can on of these three. These are the three that with the folks in my world. I I still love One New Person. See, I love One New Person too, Dr. Wells, but in terms of trying to get new listeners, see everybody who already knows about me, they're all listening, right? My LinkedIn people and the people who come to my speeches and who meet me at conferences and who've bought my book, who listen to my or who read my blog, the people who already know about me and know what I'm doing in my career, they um, they are already listening. But One New Person isn't attracting people. It doesn't say to some, if you're a 22 to 35-year-old and you're looking to listen to podcasts that are going to help you build your career, I don't think One New Person is the one you click on. Just, as a title. I don't think it says on the tin what it's really about. And I just want to have a title and a slight rebrand that's going to help that. But so if you couldn't keep the title, Dr. Wells, choose one of these three if you had to. Okay, good. We've got a vote. Let's see, 2 votes for Connected Career. Yeah, and I'll just let people in the replay do this. I'll probably put this poll up in the community tab too, which I keep using even though I'm not sure anybody else cares or is using. One New Person sounds slightly religious. Interesting. I never would have thought that, but I'll take any feedback I can get. Yeah, Connected Career, Business of Luck, or Lucky in Business. The reason that luck and lucky are in those other two is because the podcast is turning into my second book, and the second book is predominantly about the role that luck plays in success. So that is why luck has crept into 2 of these, because essentially in the last year of running the podcast, the goal is to talk about chance encounters and the relationships that lead to success. And what I've found is when I interview and talk with all these leaders and really high-achieving people, the more successful somebody is, the more likely they are to have tons of stories about chance encounters and lucky moments. The more likely they are to be lucky, the more successful they are. And so all of that got me thinking over this past year about the role that luck plays in success. And so that is turning into the topic and the core of the next book, about how to deliberately put yourself in situations where you're more likely to be lucky, right? To build your career through leveraging lucky moments. So since that's where the podcast kind of its core is, and that's where the next book is going, that's where we're... Yeah, the whole idea is to reach out to new people, and One New Person isn't the obvious choice. Like I said, One New Person was great for my existing audience. For the last year, I said One New Person. Everybody who already knew about me, they got it. Thousands of people who've bought my book, people who come see me speak, as soon as they heard Brian Miller's got a podcast called One New Person, they got it. It's just I'm watching the numbers, I'm watching the stats, I'm doing social media promotion and stuff, and I'm not getting new people in. I'm not converting outsiders to insiders with One New Person as a title. Luck in success. Interesting. Okay. I'll take any suggestions. Yep. Interesting. Huh. I'm thinking about luck in success. Welcome to Luck in Success. Oh, see, now y'all don't like my suggestions, so you're just throwing out your own. You're like, poll be damned. Hank Druck, Chance Encounter. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that was what I almost called the podcast the very first time, before One New Person. And the reason we chose not to call it Chance Encounter or Chance Encounters is it sounded too much like a dating advice podcast from the outside. Too many people thought it sounded like a dating podcast. I liked Chance Encounters, but yeah, it sounds like to me it does when I go objective, when I just pretend like I've never heard of me or what the podcast is about. Chance Encounters as a title for a podcast, to me it does sound like I don't know, dating or relationship advice. So But anyway, continue to toss ideas into the comments of this video or send them to me privately or personally on any of my socials. I'm obviously, as you know, if you follow me on any of my other socials, I'm easy to get in touch with and to send a message to. Yeah, so thank you for your help, for tuning in. Sounds like a B movie. Yeah, it sounds like somebody who's ripping off Close Encounters of the Third Kind or whatever that classic sci-fi movie is, right? Luck in success. Dr. Wells is very adamant. Luck in success. All about talking how luck is a part of success and how to leverage it. Easy to find in a search engine. The Luck in Success podcast. That's hard to say, though. Luck in success. The luck of success? Titles are so much... Titles matter. They matter, and they're so hard to get right. My book had a completely different title, working title, for 2 years while I was writing it, and it was in the final year, months before it went off to publication, that we came up with that we hit the 3 New Person title, which was like, or 3 New People, which was a vastly superior title to what I had. What's easy to say? 1 new person. I know you're gonna say that, Dr. Wells. You know what's easy to say. Yeah, I love Godzilla's bumper stopper. I don't know what that means. That's it for me. All right, I'm signing off. Thanks for coming along on this lovely little journey that we've had here. I hope this was useful, interesting, beneficial. Hopefully some more folks will catch us on the replay. I really enjoy doing these live streams, and I'm enjoying producing more videos like I used to after taking a good amount of time off over the last year. So if you haven't checked out those videos that I've been doing in collaboration with GIK Acoustics, check them out. We have one last video popping up next week, tons of before and after samples. And yeah, head over to, I think those of you who enjoy my work here on YouTube, I think if you go to here, humanconnection.blog, toss your email in, you will get weekly emails with all this sort of stuff, and I think you'll enjoy the blog and the conversation over there. I just like showing off that I figured out how to do all these fancy things in the live stream. Okay, thanks guys. For the Americans, happy Thanksgiving, and I'm very grateful for you all for being here. Have a nice day.